Hello, everybody. Welcome to All Villa, No Filler, a podcast all about Aston Villa, the world's greatest football team. Although sometimes we seem to be the world's clumsiest football team in how we keep getting goalkeepers sent off for running miles out of their goal and kicking opposition players over. Deary, deary me. Well, we're out the FA Cup, another trophy. But, we'd all love to see us win. Gone. And, got to say fair play to Newcastle. Horrible draw, Aston Villa away. A lot of referee decisions went against them, but managed to come out and win it 3-1 and charge on through the FA Cup. So good luck to them, I guess, really. But when it comes to Villa, I mean, how do you to shoot yourself in the foot like that is extremely disappointing. A couple of performances tonight that I'll sort of go a little bit deeper on. I think both some positive, some negative. But generally, in that first half, Villa were cruising. Really, I think Newcastle in the first half, I don't think they had a shot. Did they? Didn't look particularly threatening. Looked like maybe their mind was slightly on other. Elsewhere, given the big Champions League journey they've got this week. But, and then Villa, we create the big chance. I know Tammy was offside. I mean, quite frankly, the referee was, we've had a terrible run with referees this season, but today, I mean, good God, we got a lot from him, didn't we? And if that doesn't show you why VAR is in the game, I don't know what does. But, yeah, Tammy, he was offside, but loved the ingenuity of the free kick, loved the first touch and the finish from Tammy. And I think, quite frankly, if we're going to find a positive in tonight, I think we found our new starting striker. It's Tammy Abraham. When I talked about when Tammy was coming into Aston Villa, why did I think that we sold Daniel Marlon? Well, it's because, quite frankly, we haven't had, John Duran could have been it, but we haven't had a back-to-goal, tall striker who you can do long balls to, but set pieces, can win headers, and they can just link the ball up consistently, hold it up back to goal with a defender, outmuscle them, and usher them aside and all that. Tammy's link-up play tonight was absolutely exceptional. It was a true striker, true number 9 performance compared to what Daniel Marlon was before. And I dare say right now, quite frankly, tonight, he looked light years ahead of where Ollie Watkins presently is. I've been chairman of Ollie Watkins' fan club for a long time. This season, he's not been at it. It's just a fact. And I think when he came on tonight, again, I think you could see his touch and his link up just wasn't quite as sharp as Tammy's is. And there was another occasion where, right at the end when Villa were, they had that little surge in the last 5 minutes where we were sort of camped in Newcastle's box for a little while. And Ollie got the ball back to go. He turned back to make the pass. Poor under-hit pass. Newcastle get it, go on the break, and look, everyone's going to look at Lamar Bogard for that. In fact, Lamar Bogard did a fantastic job winning the tackle off Harvey Barnes before that. But then obviously he makes a poor pass. Give the guy a break. He's a young player. He's not a natural right back, although he's done really well in the last 2 games playing there. Tired legs at the end and makes a mistake. He's just going to have to get over it. But I think that goal probably just summed up Villa's night, really, didn't it? But first half, Tammy Abraham, absolutely delighted with his performance. He was really, really good. Defensively, I think we were looking quite solid. We got that goal, and then Villa were quite happy to go into a more defensive shape, invite Newcastle onto us. And I think if you're to say what's Newcastle's strength, it's probably not sort of playing against a team that are doing a so-called low block, really. It's sort of, to me, it's more when they want to go toe-to-toe with the team, win the ball back and, overrun a team and all that kind of stuff. So tonight, I think Villa invited that pressure. There were 1 or 2 moments on the break again where we could have gone 2-0 ahead. I think Tammy had a chance that it was well blocked by Newcastle, and then Bailey as well had a header. There was a couple of other occasions we could have done better when we got to that final third. But yeah, Rodgers was looking very sharp in that first half, and then right at the end of it, if you'd said to me, who was it that looked sort of off it in the first half of Villa? Because I thought generally everybody was good. by and large. But if I was to say two things, if two players that maybe weren't at it, I think Bailey had one or two good touches, but then when he make a good first touch, his pass was terrible. His passing was off all night, in a repeat of what we saw last season, unfortunately. And then right at the end of the half, he tries to play a sort of worldy, sort of, similar type half volley pass that Matty Cash made to Luca Dean against Tottenham away that led to Leon Bailey, to Emi Buendia's amazing goal against Spurs. He tried to do that and screwed it up, which is not surprising because it's basically how his passing had been going all night, and gives it straight to Newcastle. And then, good Christ, Newcastle have about 4 players on the break, all from Bailey's pass, all from that. And Bizot comes out, and it reminded me a bit of the Nottingham Forest keeper coming miles out against John McGinn a few weeks ago. I mean, I just think Bizot should just stay deep, just force Newcastle. Look, Newcastle are probably, they're going to probably have a 3-on-2 there. They probably are going to work a chance, but just force them to finish the chance. Like, don't give them an open goal and don't get yourself sent off. And it's just madness. Like this, everyone, professional footballers talk about the madness of goalkeepers sometimes. And, what Emi Martinez did at Man United last season, and now to see Bizot repeat it, they're unique. Crazy end to a first half in which we were cruising and really looked like a team who were probably, we might have conceded one, but it felt like we had another one in us. So we're probably going to go on and win it 2-3-1 maybe. But no, that as soon as that happened, then Bailey comes off. You're just thinking, I just don't think that Villa are a team that can do a sort of Brentford 11 behind the ball for an entire half. I just don't think that's how we play. And you just felt at some point Newcastle were probably going to get a breakthrough. And to be honest, I think in that first 15 minutes of the second half, Newcastle, again, I think, there might be Newcastle fans watching this who are going to absolutely hate me saying this. And that's fine. But I just watch Newcastle sometimes. I think they don't always look comfortable playing against teams who are quite defensive and finding a pass through. And I think they were actually struggling a bit against Villa's, more defensive shape. The problem for Villa was that we just weren't quite ever able to hold the ball up further up the pitch. So it was constantly coming back at us. And eventually that was going to tell. But I felt that if Newcastle were going to score the way it was going, I thought it's either going to be a set piece and Dan Burn just heads it in, or it's going to be a long ranger, kind of like what Villa were doing earlier this season. And in came that long ranger from how that wasn't a penalty. I mean, Luca Dean, he's so far inside the box, it's actually unbelievable. I cannot believe that wasn't given as a penalty. Just good God. And, justice was done, really. It should have been a pen. We could have saved it. Emi Martinez is an amazing shot stopper. But, ball comes out to Tonali, brilliant player that he is, and it's deflected and goes in. From there, tails are up, and it's always going to be half a Villa from there. And then another screamer follows that. And then after that, talked about what I felt about the third goal. I think a lot of it comes, the first goal, I would look at Leon Bailey's idiotic and poor pass. I would then look at the red card, sorry. But then rather the third goal, I look at Ollie Watkins' pass. I just don't understand. It just to me summed it up a little bit where Ollie is right now. It was just a poor underhit pass. They go on the break. And then everyone's going to look at Bogard when, in fact, if we go right to the start of it, Ollie Watkins' pass was just not good enough. He's a far better player than that. And then a minute before that, ball comes into the box from Luca Dean. Ollie's sort of in a good spot. Get your touch, hit it. You're an England international. Your numbers in the last few years have been amazing. Ollie's first touch, he gets a yard away from him. And that has been his season. That's been his season. And the chance went. That, unfortunately, has been where he's been at. Whereas Tammy Abraham, I think, was showing the kind of striker play, the link up. His first touch was sharp. His passing was exceptional. Some of his flicks were exceptional. There's a lot there to be excited about with Tammy Abraham going forward and where that can lead us. But Ollie Watkins, I think he might have lost his starting spot tonight, and maybe his performance against Brighton as well, because he needs to get his act together, really. And I think I've said it a few times recently, but I think that being a 60-minute and a 30-minute player with Tammy, balancing those minutes might be helpful for him. So then he can be that 30-minute player as he was against Chelsea when he got those 2 great goals for us and won the game. He can be that again and maybe come on and impact the game and win it for us. And that can help him rebuild his confidence again, because right now it's just not there. It's just not happening for him. It isn't. But Tammy, it did. It happened tonight. And I'm excited to see what Tammy does for us for the rest of the season. Another player, again, I'd have a few question marks over was Luca Dean tonight. I don't know. Let me know what you think about it. I'm sorry to I probably sound a little bit like, I'm going in hard on a few players, but, look, it just is what happened. And I thought Luca Dean tonight, he should have been red carded. He should have been red carded. It was a terrible foul on Jacob Murphy. You look at saw the cut on his leg, and I think that Dean again with the handball for what should have been a penalty. It's just the last couple of games. We think of the shocking defender he did against Ryan for Bournemouth as well. He's made a couple of poor decisions in the last couple of games, which is why again you see Maatsen come on tonight. And Maatsen was so sharp, so at it. Just feels like Dean's not quite sharp at the moment. I don't really know why that is, but again, he's another player who is not. He's made a couple. He's not added. He's not been great. The last 2 games, but Bournemouth and tonight, and he's a player who is far better than what he's shown in those 2 games, is what I would say, and needs to and can get his act back together. But Maatsen, I think you can see why he's our starting left back at the moment. He's looking really good. So look, I'll get to the comments in a sec, but fair play to Newcastle. They've had a really, really difficult run, horrible run of away games. Couldn't have come any harder than Villa away, really. And they took the opportunity that Aston Villa simply presented to them, and they went and won the game, and that's that. Aston Villa, I think there were some things that were really positive in that first half, but that to just sort of make really rash, stupid decisions at the end of that first half, 1 or 2 players to be underperform is that's frustrating. But yeah, I think my only concern about tonight, really, because it's one of them where you chalk it up, you go, right, you lost a game, you move on. My only concern about tonight, really, is that Villa have now lost 3 and 4 at home. That home form is what is going to get us top 5 this season, and that's going to be Champions League, right? We need to keep winning at home, and our home form from August 2024 right through until January 26 was absolutely extraordinary. But we've lost 3 and 4. And I think winning against Brighton with that late winner we got, it wasn't a good performance, but it was a good win. Just win ugly, just do it somehow. So then you think, right, you win that, you get your home form back on form, and then the next game, you go and you just go and blow it in the way we did. It's really frustrating, because you think if we'd won tonight, which we really should have done on the first half performance at least, and given the fact Newcastle were missing so many key players, you just think, well, we could have won again, and then the confidence starts coming back, and it's infectious. With the home, suddenly opposition teams now don't start to think we can win at Villa, and then you go into Leeds next week and you think we'll find a way to win. Now there's a question mark again, because if Leeds turn up next week and do exactly what Brighton did, do what Brentford and Everton, where they just sit back, sit deep, every time we go on the break, they foul us, they keep doing that, and they find a set-piece goal of their own, it could be another difficult game. So, yeah, I think they're really frustrating. Very frustrating is the way I put it. Look, I know none of us like to do the negative thing, and but I mean, look, that's just the way I think I can describe it, really. Enough in that first half to say we'll be fine this season, but it is a concern. We've now lost 3 and 4 at home, is the way I'll put it. And we need to, just got to bounce back against the Leeds next week. Yeah. Nick Bailey, oh dear, Frankie. Yeah. Oh dear is right, mate. Nicolo Jones, can't say justice wasn't done there. LOL. Yep, justice was done. I mean, the referee, gee, God. Bloody hell. Like the Dean handball, the Dean potential red, the offside goal we scored, there was another one. There was something else that happened. There's just a couple of things that happened that were like, bloody hell, man. You can see why VAR is in, because the sort of, you get referee performances like that and the stress levels that build, it leads to more ill discipline from teams and can lead to games getting a bit out of control, really. And none of us, there's lots of things about VAR none of us like, but fucking hell, like tonight, that was a shocking referee performance. It really was. And absolutely terrible, says Anne Little Johns. Yeah. Second half. And just the stupidity of that red card. You know, Bizot shouldn't have done what he did. Bailey shouldn't have made the absolutely atrocious pass he made, and summed up Bailey's night, really. Sort of 2 or 3 really good first touches, getting away from Lewis Hall. Brilliant stuff. What are you going to do next? Slip over. Make a poor pass. Not good. One thing I'll say about that pitch, though, there was a moment when Elanga got through. You know, it was through Lewis Hall, ball through, and he would have gone 1-on-1, and he slipped over. Tell me if you've seen the same thing here. But the amount of players slipping over on that Villa Park pitch at the moment is like remarkable. It just happens every single game now, 3 or 4 times a game. And Villa's pitch has always been one of the best in the world. Like, we've always had an unbelievable pitch at Villa Park. So I don't know what's gone on in the last few weeks, but something's not right. People are slipping everywhere on there. You can tell the amount of changes Unai's thinking. Yeah, I think, well, you know, the sheer number of games we've got, you want to balance up the minutes, you want to get people fit and firing and all that, and then, you know, probably just see the game out how we can, and then, just go and do that. So Benjamin Moss terminate Dean's contract now. Yeah, he's wasn't his finest night, but I wouldn't go as far as that just yet, but certainly needs to improve from where he's been in the last couple of games, for sure, yeah. Can't complain with that, says Chris Hunt. Nope, we can't. Complete control to Marco did what he did. Yeah. And but I'd stress, I mean, it was just ridiculous behaviour from Bizot, really. But I'd stress that Bailey pass annoyed me more. And maybe that's really harsh. It just did, because I just been getting irritated with Bailey's passing all game. And then he did that. I don't know. I mean, I myself could have made that pass. I think that's what's so annoying. He's for the last year with Bailey, and this is what kept happening last season. Like, he does stuff that's just so out of this world brilliant. Like, first touch, his turn, he can beat players all the time like he was 2 years ago. And then it's just this passing of his at times. He's just making passes that I wouldn't make. Like, and I couldn't dream of being even vaguely similar ever in my life to what Leon Bailey is able to do. So I'm just wondering, well, why is he not able to do that? And you sort of think, it has to be a confidence thing. It's got to be. There's no way he could have been doing what he was doing 2 years ago. And then look at him now and think, how are you? What? It just has to be a confidence issue. It does. You can't just lose your ability, because he hasn't. Like, you see it there when he makes these brilliant first touches and these really intelligent turns. And yeah, I mean, look, the first 2 games he came back, he looked sharp. He was very poor against Bournemouth. And tonight, I think, was very like last season. But like, I mean, look, I'm going to support him all the way through the season. Of course we are. All of us will. And I'm sure that he still has some great performances for Villa coming this season, but I just think that I just want him to work away back to, I don't know, just consistently good passing. That is it. That is his main problem right now, and he's just got to find it, because he's got it. He's got the ability. He does. Rob Hatton, I can't remember the last time a team played through us and scored. We just gift goals instead. Yes, that's a very good point. We do. We really do gift goals away. Yeah, I mean, I very rarely look at teams and think that we are just going to get outplayed and they'll find a way in to our box and just score. It just so often just feels like someone. What have we done? It's like the game's almost just too easy, and we just switch off and make silly mistakes. Like it just, yeah. Sancho and Bailey impressed us, Nicola Jones. Yeah, I'd have to disagree on Bailey, apart from some of his first touches and that. But Sancho looked very good. Yeah, when he came on, he looked very sharp. He was trying to make stuff happen. Him and Maatsen, I think, did well when they came on. Andy Matt, too many passengers, lack of any discernible quality, mentally weak. Yeah, I mean, we sort of just gifted it away second half. I think it was just irritating that we weren't at least holding on to it a little bit more. You know, even though we were down to 10, it was just, yeah. But I mean, fundamentally, it all just comes down to the red card, doesn't it? It's as simple as that. Dean should have been pulled at half time. Yeah. There's a case to be made that should have happened, yeah. Mike Worm, bold, Newcastle had no interest in winning. Bizot gave it to them anyways. Yeah, I mean, Newcastle weren't very good in that first half at all. I thought it was just going to be a bit of a coasty job, really, and go and do what we did. Bailey is one of the worst players. Yeah, well, I'd say 2 years ago he's one of the best players I've ever seen at Aston Villa. That's what's so frustrating. That's what's frustrating about him. Johnny Hall, not first FA Cup wasn't a target. League and Europa Leagues are targets. Yeah, I mean, you could argue the Europa League, it probably is easier to win, oddly, than the FA Cup. Just that, I guess the FA Cup you have to get through Liverpool, Arsenal, Man City, Chelsea, Newcastle. Europa League, there's probably no team that is as good as that, but Europe's a different experience. It's harder in a different way. But I think you're right. I think Europa League, I think finishing top 5 in the Europa League is the priority this season. Yeah. I think it's just gutting the FA Cup. Like just so desperate to see us win it. But I mean, if you were to say to me, you go out the FA Cup early, but you get top 5, I would be like, fine. Because I want Villa to get Champions League again. Because I think that the more we get Champions League, the more it raises our floor, revenue-wise. God, I hate to talk like that as a football fan. But revenue-wise, the floor goes up. You become a team that then is seen as someone who is regularly in the Champions League, regularly in Europe. Players then are more attracted to come to you. You know, managers in future, if Unai, ever decides to move on one day, please God, that doesn't happen, but, it will one day. They look at Villa and think, that's a Champions League club. It means we can improve the stadium with the money. We can get a better squad. And it therefore means that over time, it makes it easier for us to compete and win the sort of Carabao Cup and the FA Cup than it presently is right now, because other teams just have the squad depth and revenues that we just don't have. So yeah, I think I'd have chosen Champions League, which a lot of fans would disagree with, and that's absolutely fine. But I think getting Champions League now just it makes it easier for us to win the FA Cup in future, if that makes sense. Yeah, it's gutting. It's just gutting. I'd just give anything to see Villa win that trophy, the FA Cup. I think we it's just the one in it that we just haven't won in such a long time, and it feels like a massive trophy. It's a massive deal. Ronan, well, great to see you, Ronan, mate. No complaints. The red card changes everything. On we go in Europe. Good luck, Newcastle. Exactly that. I think that perfectly sums it up. I think I could have just said that at the start, and that could be the end of that, really. Yeah, totally agree. Tammy showed some flair as well. Yeah, Tammy was fantastic. I thought Tammy was brilliant. That was a proper striker display, and exactly what I described when we signed him. I said, back to goal striker. He's aerial. We can go long, all that stuff. And actually, something I did want to mention from that first half, I don't know if other Villa fans have noticed this as well, but Villa are definitely going more direct than we were earlier this season. We're definitely going more direct. We're going longer. I theorised at the end of last season when I went to Fulham Villa and Villa won 1-0, where Villa would break it. Fulham were pressing really high and Villa were breaking that press by chipping the ball into John McGinn, who was on the halfway line. And from that game, it was a light bulb for me where I thought this is where football's going, in that I think that because every team presses so high now, a lot of teams are probably going to go more direct because naturally it's like, well, where's the space? Well, it's back there. And if you can get it to a striker who wins it, or a midfielder like John McGinn who wins it, suddenly you got a potential break on because so many of their players have pressed high. You turn and you've got 4-on-4 if they're going man to man. So it's and so Brighton and Newcastle tonight in that first half, and I'd say Bournemouth as well. We were going really long a lot of the time. We were not, Newcastle were pressing high. They were going man for man, and they had two players on the back of Douglas Luiz and Amadou Onana. So it was difficult to play into that midfield. But interesting. We definitely went long. And I dare say with Tammy Abraham, the temptation to go long is going to be there even more than it was with Ollie Watkins because Tammy's just a big guy, isn't he? And something to look out for. I'd love to see stats of that somewhere, comparing Aston Villa's long ball tendency from the goalkeeper now than to last season or even just 2 months ago. It's a blessing in disguise. We have bigger fish to fry in the FA Cup. Yeah. Just, having fewer games, it probably won't hurt a squad that's been absolutely battered by injury. Big games we found wanting happens too often. We've been good in big games. We have. But yeah, you could look at Crystal Palace last season. Olympiacos, Man United at the end of last season, Crystal Palace in the FA Cup. That was United at the end of last season. And today, maybe, you could make a case that we've blown it a few times on big occasions, but we've also had a couple of big wins as well. Bayern Munich, PSG, Newcastle a couple of weeks ago away. They were big games. Dean is becoming a liability. The last couple of games, he's been a bit of a liability. Yeah, it just looks like it's almost like he can't concentrate or something. It's quite odd. Danny Murphy spoilt the game for me. Murphy. Yeah, he's probably not my favourite. Bicycle Source, I thought 10 men were supposed to be hard to break down. Wasn't that the mantra everyone was about after Brentford? Gigantic pressure to beat Leeds and Wolves now. Yeah, we just don't look like a team built to play the way Brentford did with 10 men behind. It just... Yeah, Newcastle weren't doing that well against us with 10 men, really. It just felt like it was going to have to be a long range or a set piece, and in the end, that's what it was. Roxanne Onana was immense again. Yeah, I liked Onana. He's very good. Yeah, he wasn't great against Brighton, but he's very good. Pat the key to not their defence. Yep. No excuses now. Just Europa in top 5, but we'll mess up Europa ends. No, I don't agree with that. I think we'll go all the way in Europa. I think we will. I think we're just built for that tournament. No, I think we will. Repeat. Hope this is a wake-up call for the team to regroup and change the attitude. We're seeing the Village from games 1 to 5 of this season. Slow, lacking ideas, not winning duels, sloppy. Yeah, I think that's a good case. I think there's, the last couple of games there's been quite a lot of moments where we've not been winning duels in the way we should do. Looking a little bit casual for a lot of game during a lot of the game, but a lot of it as well does come down to you've got it. Look, I know people don't want to hear this, but that central midfield area when you've got McGinn, Kamara, and Tielemans all out, you're just not going to be quite the same team, and it is going to take time to adapt. Got to adapt quickly. The fundamental fact is we just got to adapt quickly. That's the problem. Whatever the league is a priority. No, Frank, you're 100% right about Dean, past the best. Yeah, I think he's just hasn't been good the last couple of games. Just has to, improve. The concern is our performances are poor since we lost 3 midfielders. We don't recognise Villa since then. Slow moving the ball around like a fight. Yeah, I think something I've noticed with Dougie compared to Yuri is that there's occasions where Dougie holds on to it when I think Yuri would have made an ambitious pass when someone's made a run in behind. I think Dougie tends to just stand on it a little bit more, whereas I think Tielemans is just much more. He's just got a bit better. Tielemans just has a better passing range, and I think as Brighton and tonight there were occasions where I think we saw that. But look, you've got to give it Doug as well. I mean, look, the guy's barely played for a year and a half. He's just got to. We're throwing him so in the deep end. It's not even the deep end. We've taken him out on a boat, thrown him in the middle of the bloody Pacific Ocean during a storm, and said, "Hi, mate, can you just swim back to Easter Island for us?" And it's bloody hard what we're asking him to do. So, again, for him, we've got to be patient. And he's had a couple of really good moments for us already, I think. But he just you can see that he's not quite at full sharpness yet, but you can also see that we just are missing Kamara, Tielemans, and McGinn, and we just got to get through a tough spell without them, really. Black Country Villa next year will be 70 years since we won the FA Cup. 70 years of hurt. My God. It's 72 since Newcastle won it. Yeah. That I don't get it. I mean, we've won the bloody European Cup in that time. We've won the league a few times. We've won the League Cup multiple times. What it is with the FA Cup, I just don't get. I don't know. I don't get it. Don't know what goes on in that tournament. It's a shame because we've been to the FA Cup final twice this century, 2000 and 2015, and we were really poor in 2000, and then we were absolutely disgraceful in 2015. I mean, I don't know, just to get to a final and really compete would be amazing. And I think it's something we've got to go and win. It is at some point soon. Black Country Villain, please smash the likes. Thank you very much. Yes, hit the likes. Please subscribe if you're on this channel. You haven't subscribed before. I like to think we're a very level-headed channel podcast. We get great guests on here. Going to have some more good guests on this week. And so please do subscribe. If you subscribe, follow us on Spotify. 5-star reviews on Apple are massively helpful. And 5-star reviews on the phone app and Spotify, massively helpful. If you like what we do, write something nice. It would be really helpful because, as I said before, the people who tend to be the most negative are the ones who tend to be the most vocal. So please do, give us a review if you like what we do. And yes, subscribe on YouTube. Just hit that subscribe button. Paul O'Neill heading to the Leeds game next week, hoping we can book the 26 home form UTV. Yeah, that ain't going to be an easy game at all. I think Leeds are going to make that really, really difficult. So yeah, it's going to be hard. Donald, sorry guys, we were good in the first half, better than Newcastle. They didn't have a shot on target. Bizot done us. Changed the whole game. We get McGinn back in about 2 weeks and Yuri in 3. Yeah, I still think McGinn's about a month away, I think. And Yuri, I gather it could be early or April. But you're exactly right. First half made Newcastle look very, very average. So, Daniel, hello. Thank you for an amazing podcast. Watch every time you stream. Well, thank you, Daniel. That's amazing to read that. Thank you so much. That's awesome. Amazing podcast. Very nice to hear that. Thank you. Smoke. First half, we should have a man sent off and a pen given against us. Yep, we should have done. I think the pen will tell you the second half, but yep, I think Dean was very lucky to stay on the pitch. I didn't like that tackle. I thought it was a poor decision, and it was like he was half a second off. And I feel like against Bournemouth with that goal he conceded, and what he did the minute before that when he tried to go in the back of Ryan, it just looked half a second off. It just isn't. Something's just not quite right with him at the moment. But my God, there's loads and loads of comments. So obviously I can't get to all of them. But yeah, Tim Roberts, Frankie, prize money today 127k, last round 121k, less than Kamara's weekly wage, could cost us 100 million. Champions League, not worth it. And that's a very fair argument to be made. From it is. We need to get Champions League. We need to get it. And if the FA Cup is the casualty of that, then so be it. But I'm no less gutted not to see Villa go on in this tournament, because I think we've got a team that can win it. And I think to see Villa win a trophy for the first time since 1996, it's now 30 years of hurt, would be special. Though I do think we're going to go all the way in Europa League. And I think we're going to get to that final. And then who knows what happens there. I'm going to manifest it and believe it. You know, a lot of tough teams to play. But one up there to believe we can do it. So I'm going to believe it. And let's get the Champions League, get the home form back on. Very disappointing. Fair play to Newcastle. They did what they had to do with the opportunities Aston Villa presented to them. Stupidity at the end of the first half and gifting goals away, as we have done quite a lot recently. But, you know, Villa got to bounce back quickly now. Leeds at home is absolutely must win to my mind. A team that's still down there at the lower end of the table, given the form that Chelsea, Liverpool, or Chelsea and United have shown recently, and Liverpool got that win at Sunderland, you'd have to think they'll get some wins as well. To me, it's a game you got to win if you want to get Champions League. So let's go and get that job done. But yeah, sorry it couldn't have been on better terms tonight, everybody, but it's what it is. Until next time, up the mighty Villa.